Welcome, Web of Wires. The Wii U, one of Nintendo's most controversial systems, failing miserably and is closing not even 10 years into its lifespan, happens to be a special gem of mine that I never fell in love with until it was in my hands.
Yeah, I said it. This dumb, stupid, and dumb system is actually pretty decent. Dare I say it, fun. But really, most of its flaws spawn from the fact that it has so much going for it. And the one everyone likes to mention is the Gamepad. This is easily the weirdest controller Nintendo has ever made, with the most obvious feature being the screen. The screen's alright, you surprisingly can't tell it's being streamed, but it's nothing amazing. The controller also features a stylus, touchscreen, gyro controls, speakers, stand, camera, universal TV remote, sensor bar. Yeah, definitely didn't need all this. But I mean, outside of the camera, I use all these features pretty regularly. It makes me question why it had all of this, but at the same time, I look at something like the Switch and question why it doesn't have something like a universal TV remote, or why Xbox has done literally nothing. If there's anything the Wii U and Xbox One have in common nowadays, it's their library of games. They're both kinda bad, but for different reasons. You look at the Xbox One, and no matter what time period you're in, it didn't have many exclusives. But for the Wii U, oh, it definitely had games. Until the Switch mugged it of everything it loved. Most of the games don't look or run as good, are missing new content, or are harder to find than a Switch game. But you aren't missing much, especially with how much money you can save. I said can. But yeah, if you just want to play some Mario Kart 8 and don't want to spend a ton of money, it works. But then you have to take a closer look at the library. Mario Kart, Donkey Kong, Pikmin, 3D World, Mario Party, all these games are good. But you can play them on the Wii. To the average person, playing the same game again for over $300 just wasn't worth it. They're great games, but the Wii can already play them. Now I know you're writing that angry comment about how Paper Mario and Xenoblade and Wind Waker were all entirely new adventures, instead of just the same game with new level designs. But if Paper Mario Color Splash is on the list of best unique games, something went wrong. Also, Wind Waker was playable on the Wii, but not every Wii can play Wind Waker, Stop talking, please. You want a Wii with GameCube compatibility, don't you? I sometimes wonder if the only Wiis around that don't play GameCube games are Blue or the Wii U, because technically this system doubled as a Wii. For the first time ever, you were able to officially play Wii games in HD. Kinda. The Wii U could display games through an HDMI cable natively, so you were able to get those crisp colors and edges, oddly looking less dated than the real Wii. It was convenient, don't get me wrong, but it bridged the gap between the newer and older titles. Like, yeah, I could get the new Smash Bros., but I already own Brawl. The 3DS helped us a bit by saying, hey, you know those games that were playable on a handheld now? Well, what if they could sync together? It was a neat idea, but I feel the 3DS stole sales away from the Wii U because it was cheaper and had a very similar library of games. Smash for 3DS was pretty much a one-to-one port of the game. Anyway about it, this feature is convenient nowadays, and especially for footage, but probably played against them in some manner back when these games were on the store shelves. What's neat though is that you could buy these Wii games digitally instead of having to pay a fortune for something like Metroid Prime Trilogy. Most of the rare and fun Wii games were available for $20 digitally. Not only was it convenient, but most of the time cheaper. Even for something like Mario Galaxy, would you rather go out of your way to buy it physically or just download it digitally for the same price? There wasn't much storage to work with on here, but it was enough for most people, I believe. I didn't hear many complaints about it. I just wish you were able to sync your 3DS and Wii U virtual libraries together. What's neat about this virtual console is that it includes titles like Duck Hunt. You could play these games with the Wiimote to simulate the light gun like the original was intended. It may not be perfect, but hey, I'll take a slightly functional game over a lost game any day of the week. Other systems like the DS were made available for purchase too, making these unconventional games more accessible to the average person. It didn't have every game known to man. There's quite a bit they could have added. But for the short lifespan of the Wii U, being able to play 75% of all Metroid games to date on one system for less than Metroid Fusion alone is nice. They even have Prime Hunters on here, it's cool. But the DS emulator, 3DS support, Wii ports, even the controller, they're all just gimmicks. Some of the gimmicks are nice, like the DS emulator. But why on earth was Twilight Princess ported to HD? Or better yet, why is there a camera on the controller? This system confuses me so much. I mean, it's neat to kind of have a system filled with Easter eggs. You never know what's hiding in the controller. But most of the time, it just hurts the games. It hurts the experience. And if the system was finished, I'd say go for it. Add all these dumb features, show us something new. But when it released on launch day with no deluxe edition, Blu-ray support, or something as basic as storage space, yeah, that's an issue. And I see their ideas here. It's pretty obvious this was the earliest concept of their next system, the Switch. But the tablet felt rushed. I hold this thing and wonder, why is it so big and battery life sucked? It's hard to power a screen this big, but still, it's hard for me to get around, especially when their previous systems show battery life shouldn't be an issue here. I don't want to ramble on forever about the Wii U. We all know why it failed. It's such an interesting console to look into, and even more interesting to experience. Seriously, if you've never owned one, get one. Get some homegrown here once the store closes and go nuts. There aren't many people to begin with who have a Wii U system, but the people who still have it love them. At least I do. It was such a creative system. It's a shame that the marketing was horrible and the game selection they had was even worse, but still, the games you could play were awesome. Funny enough, this is a great platform to buy indie games on too. It's got a bunch of physical indie games to play with as well as digital, at least while they last. I'm upset the system couldn't go 10 years without dying, but let's be honest, it had it coming.
The Wii U was simply a prototype for something bigger, similar to the Virtual Boy. Well, at least that's how I see it. If you really sit down and look at it, the Switch pulled a lot of ideas from the Gamepad. The dock, the portability, hey, even the battery life. So even though the Wii U didn't have Game Pass, at least it did something useful before taking its final breath.